All right, welcome into the CFB season show. Glad to talk some ball tonight. I'm really excited. Got a special guest here with us tonight. Goes by the name at Coach Smoot. You can follow him on Twitter. I'm sure elsewhere as well. But how we doing tonight, brother?
Doing pretty good, man. Look, you caught me at I'm getting transitioning to the new spot, man. So I ain't got all my gear up. You know what I'm saying? I don't look my background don't look as good as yours, but I'm gonna try to hold it down for you, man. I love what you're doing over here with your content, man.
Yeah,
And really an honor and privilege to be over here, man. I'm glad to be over here and chop it up with you for a little while, brother.
yeah, I appreciate that. Oh, you good, man? It still looks serviceable, man.
Look, that's all we trying to be serviceable right now, man.
Yeah. Yeah, so man, what I do is I got a national college football account, but I try to keep it unbiased as much as I can. And man, I'm really glad to talk some Alabama tonight.
Yeah.
A contender for a national championship. Just loaded talent everywhere. Every position group you look at is just loaded. And if they could put everything together, especially with the QB play, I think everything's going to fall through for them this season.
Oh, 100%, man. I agree totally. I think even last year's team, you had a talented team, just so many different variables that with maybe 7 more games, you probably see a complete product. And but it just so happens you only get 12 opportunities in the regular season, and Alabama, more so than often, took advantage of those opportunities. But in the times where it counted the most or needed to count the most, they weren't able to capitalize. And I think towards the end of the season you saw the defense thrive. You saw what the defense potential was becoming, but the offense is something that we are still having questions about. What is the full potential of this offense? And I think this year, with just the surrounding all the surrounding factors, with the returning veterans, guys having a second year in a system, a more experienced play caller, guys being more natural in their coaching positions, being able to do what they do. You're going to see a different team, and like you said, a national championship contender. And I'm glad you said that. I see you got your was that is that a LSU hat over there? You know, we
Yeah,
we
let's
we love to respectfully hate LSU. You know, that is a team we know when we show up, we're going to get our best product. They're going to get their best product, and it's going to be a game. It's always going to be a good game. So I respectfully hate LSU. When I'm not playing them, I love to watch them play. But when we're playing them, it's definitely all hate in the most respectful way. And that's a team that I can't wait to see come into T Town this year. I think that's going to be one of the games that really allow us to see what the type of identity that we are going to be as the Crimson Tide.
Man, I respect that as well, and I respect the Bama fans that are, keep it real and realistic. They got
Yeah,
some
yeah,
Bama fans out there, that could just pull your hair out for sure, but you definitely don't strike me as as one of those type of Bama fans. But it's
they
all
definitely try to throw the Bama goggles narrative at me because I'm the type of guy. I'm not looking at it from a fan perspective anymore. A
mhm.
lot of people had issues with Nick Sheridan's play calling style last year. I say if you got 7 in the box, yes, I'm throwing it. I don't care how good the run game looks. I'm going to give my quarterback the option to throw the ball. Now, what he does with that play call may not necessarily be what I want it to be, but it is not a bad play call when I have two wide receiver options open. So it's just all about transitioning phases of the game that just we peaked early last season, and but to your point, this year this is a team that's built to really go the distance. You just look at the continuity that's coming back on the front. You look at the wide receiver group, all the talent there. True freshman, then true freshman Ryan Williams, but now true sophomore Ryan Williams being kind of like the highlight of the group, and he's to me is not even the best asset available for this offense in that position group. So a lot of things to talk about, man. I'm gonna let you narrate and do it how you want to do it. I can go all day talking about my Crimson Tide, brother.
Man, so man, just looking at the roster, I think y'all got the best offensive line in the country, one of
Mm,
the top wide receiver in the country, and a top five defense. And everything's just going to come down to quarterback play at the end of the day, in my opinion. And I guess we could start there. We bring in Ryan Grubb in the offseason. I'm seeing and hearing mixed reviews on Ty Simpson. I'm really curious to see how you are evaluating the talent, and also maybe some of your opinions on the quarterback position battle. We could probably start there. Me personally, I know the freshman Keelan Russell. He won't have the experience, but me personally, I think I'm highest on his talent out of the quarterback position room. But I'm guessing it's going to be probably Ty Simpson because he's been there, and he got the experience and the leadership in the locker room and stuff like that. But just let's start with the quarterback.
but my personal opinion, man, I'm like you. I'm ready to see Keelan Russell. I'm excited about where he is. The fact that he's consistently getting better, practice in, practice out, day in, day out. That there's no decline in where his performance is, and the ability to maintain the level of composure that he's been able to display in early workouts and early in the camp, or even early in spring ball. Being able to come to that side of the ball and perform like he has been, that's just a testament. That's just a testament to the coaching and the development factors. But Ty Simpson is going to be the starter. And for that reason, being he has the experience, and you can really rely on what Ty Simpson is bringing to the table. He himself is getting better day by day, and the only reason there's not as much hype about it is because he's been on campus going on 4 years now. You've seen this product be displayed in practice and go against twos and threes and just light it up. When he has bad days, he has bad days, but that's part of being a quarterback. That's part of being a player at the collegiate level. Being able to roll through and take that one day, grow better, get 1% better the next day. But I have full confidence in Ty Simpson. I don't think he possesses the arm talent that Keelan Russell does. But when it comes to just being able to make more than a play, but actually operating and having control of an offense, I think he has more control, more of a sense of control and a continuity with the guys there. Russell is going to be exciting to watch develop. Same with Austin Mack. I think there's still a place for this young man to be impact or implement himself and his skill set in that quarterback room. But the primary guy, I'm definitely interested in Ty Simpson, and I have a strong belief that Keelan Russell has set play calls out there in this playbook in this scheme for him, and we will see somewhat of a two quarterback system utilized. They were
Yeah.
not opposed to it in Washington, even with Penix as it started the first year. They weren't opposed to it at San Jose. What is it? Fresno State. They weren't opposed to it at Fresno State. And we saw that Indiana under coach Kalen DeBoer while he was the offensive coordinator, and Ryan Grubb was one of his assistants. So this is something that when they have skill sets available in the quarterback room, they definitely want to give different looks. I'm not saying that's something to be game planning for somebody to be like, oh man, we gotta prepare for a two quarterback system. But I do think that we will see Keelan Russell get meaningful game time snaps being QB2 going into this fall season.
Now, let's say Alabama's winning games, but it's not looking too pretty with the passing game. Do you maybe see maybe a switch, or like, do you think they're going to have pressure on the coaching staff to maybe throw in Russell or Austin Mack?
I don't think so. I don't think so. If this team is winning, and I mean winning decisively, meaning like you got a solid run game. Your pass game is averaging that Jake Coker like season where he was averaging anywhere from 210 to 240 passing yards a game. But they weren't coming in large lump sums. You talking about 15 to 16 completions, big plays because you have that type of receiver surrounding Jake Coker, that type of running game, and offensive line surrounding Jake Coker. You can see that. Or we can be offense like Mac Jones with Mac Jones in 2020, where you had multiple assets in the running back room that you could have utilized and leaned on in the run game, but you didn't have to because of the type of wide receivers and the way the pass game was operating effectively. Ty Simpson has showcased early in spring practice. I've seen it with my own eyes. The ability to get the ball out quick and just decipher what the looks are being thrown at it. And mind you, it's spring ball. You're getting basic looks, but you're talking about Alabama defense, basic looks. You're talking about Alabama athletes, basic looks. And he looks smooth. He looks fluent. He looks like he's understanding exactly what the offense is needing in order for it to be successful. So I can't wait to see what that develops into. But I do believe if you get to a point where your offense is just not being as efficient, we're not scoring on that 4 out of every 5 clip like Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb want to. They have a high demand on turning possessions into points, whether it's 3 or 6 or 7.
Mhm.
They want to be at that 3.5 clip, meaning 4 out of every 5 possessions, they want to be putting numbers on the board. And if Ty Simpson's not able to do that, and we're at a 2.5 or a 2.1 like we were last year, I believe we see a switch up around week 5, week 6.
Okay, I can see. I mean, we'll see. We'll see how everything plays out off the gate. The schedule's not overly tough, and I think you got a couple tune-ups in there, so I think you can work some confidence and get that offense rolling. And the offense is definitely going to have to switch it up a little bit. I'm looking at last season, with Milrow and the on the ground and how aggressive he was and hard to tackle. Ty Simpson does have a little speed to his game. And yeah, he's probably going to run a little bit, but I don't think he's going to be as physical and breaking the tackles like how Milrow did. So you're going to have to change up this offense. You're going to have to hit through the air. Ryan Williams is definitely going to have a lot more force feeds, I would say, maybe more force feeds, more.
I doubt it. I doubt it.
No.
I think that wide receiver room is stacked this year.
Okay.
More so, the skill sets available for this vertical passing concept. Last year, you dealt with guys like Kobe Prentice, Kendrick Law. They were more so, quick guys, get in the space, get them the ball quick, try to get them to do what they can do yards after catch. But these players, even the tight end room, you got more receiver assets, and so I think the quarterback position is going to be used more so like a quarterback. You got enough backs to hand the ball off. Jalen Miro took maybe 110, 115 carries away from the running back room last year. I can definitely see he led the carries with 168 total carries, and behind him, Jam Miller was with 145 or something like that. So, you take 100 of those carries out of the quarterback room and give them to the running backs, you see a more stable, balanced offense. And Todd Simpson, like you said, can be an athlete, can extend the play with his legs, but that's not something that he's going to be asked to do on a high rate, because of the skill set with his arm talent and his IQ and understanding what the offense needs in the passing concepts. But this wide receiver room is definitely a lot more prepared and a lot more equipped to be effective in this pass scheme with the play calling style that you saw from Nick Sheridan, that you're going to see from Ryan Grubb. This wide receiver group in itself is a lot more equipped than it was last year.
Let's go to the running back position. What you hearing, what you seeing, who's standing out? Is it going to be by committee? Is it going to be a lead back? Like, give us the thoughts on the backs.
I think Jam Miller is your leader in that group. He's going to be the guy that's the name. I just got done talking about this on the Voice of College Football. If you all haven't subscribed, make sure y'all go check us out on Alabama Voice of College Football. That's where we'll be doing a lot of our informative coverage. Your boy got the Spook Scoop. We're bringing the Spook Scoop over to the Alabama Voice of College Football. For all the things that they're scared to talk about when it comes to practice and these scrimmages, these four eyes have seen it, or have eyes that are on the scene seeing it, and I'm not scared to talk about it, because that's what you all need to know. We're not selling dreams, we're selling reality. And this Alabama team, the reality is their running back room is nasty. It's nasty stacked. And when you have a group like that is selfless, Jam Miller, Richard Young, that 1-2 combo is going to be something to be game plan for him. Because even though Jam Miller will be the leader in that room, I think more so Richard Young will be the bell cow. He's the more physical runner. He's the more decisive runner. And he's also got that change of speed rate in the run game that you can run inside, outside zone scheme. You can get the counter going. With his skill set, you don't have to change him out as much. Now, Jam Miller is a mismatch problem. We've seen him in the receiving game against Georgia, hurt Georgia big, hurt Tennessee big, hurt LSU big in the passing game. But also in the run game, he can, once he gets space, you're not many people are going to be able to hawk him down. And then you got a Daniel Hills, true sophomore, and Daniel Hill, another big back that is going to give you that power and force that you want to create that balance on the interior run game. And then you got guys like Dre Washington, the transfer from Ball State, another viable power back that to me is more so of your consistent pass blocking guy. You got third and passing for sure. You want to bring a back like him in with his experience. Good check down guy at the backfield, can get you the tough 2 or 3 yards after contact. Maybe not going to break away from anybody, but definitely going to give you the physicality. And then you got speedsters in AK Deer and Kevin Riley, the young guys who maybe not deep in the rotation or not going to get a lot of impact, but when they get their touches, they can create some plays. They can create some explosive plays. AK Deer, the true freshman, was the number 4 back in this 2025 class. I think he's going to have a little chip on his shoulder with any opportunity, and we might see some Najee Harris type freshman type runs with him just kind of pressing and being over anxious. But when he gets the opportunity to break it, you're going to see him do his thing.
Some good stuff right there. I'm really curious to see Jam Miller. 145 carries last season, 668 yards, seven tutties on the ground.
Yeah. What his average was like 4.8 or 4.6, something like that per carry.
4.6, long of a 56.
Come on, guys. Like you got to think if he had more carries, that 4.6 could easily be a 5.2. And that's just by run design, run scheme. If Milroe hands the ball off 4 or 5 times more a game to the running backs in that running back room last year, this offense is a totally different type of production. And you really have to be forced to play it in a balanced set. And you can't do that with that type of offense and those skill sets available. So I think this year is going to be dangerous to really scheme up against Alabama's offense.
Looking at the O-line, we jump into that next. Man, this O-line right here, this is a scary O-line. Man, I've been doing some research and, watching some film, and, Jaden Roberts stands out, and obviously Proctor stands out with his strength. Cam Dewberry, y'all picked him up from A&M in the portal, and obviously the center as well, Parker Brailsford. I'm really high on this offensive line. I already said it early in the show. I think it's going to be the best offensive line in the country. Just the NFL measurables already on all these offensive linemen, massive bodies, massive strength, good twitch. What you thinking about this offensive lineman?
I'm
This
right
is
there with you. I'm right there with you, brother. Not just
dude.
because I'm a Bama fan, but I've seen the lows of this group, these personnel, and these are guys that are literally in those peak years. Redshirt sophomore Wilkin Formby is one that I'm really excited to see develop going into his third year on campus. Draft eligible. This can be a big year for him at the right tackle position. We know the value of tackles at the NFL level. Him and Caden Proctor manning those tackle positions for Alabama will be huge into this and key to the success of the overall production of this offense. Two talented guys, both standing 6'7", 300 pounds plus, athletic. Can move more so. Caden Proctor at his size, being at that 350 clip, that 360 clip right now. Um, Probably the smallest he's going to get. I know everybody's been trying to beg for him to lose weight, but a big frame guy like that is it's kind of hard to get him smaller when he can move like the way he's moving. Keeping him at 335, 350 range is going to be perfect at the NFL level. Um, and 6'7" with a 6'8", 6'9" wingspan, you don't get that every day, and it's hard to move that. Now you get some speed guys coming off the edge. You might have to send some some tight end help or running back help to help chip that. But for the most part, the way this ball is moving and Ty Simpson and his quarterback room is getting the ball out in their understanding of the offense, you're not going to be able to just all out blitz and send stunts to your tackles. In those 5 and 7 gaps, you got to really be decisive, or you're going to leave a lot of open space with athletes out in space that are hard to bring down. Parker Brailsford, the number one ranked center going into this year's draft, was going to be a first round draft pick last year had he decided to come out and go into the draft last year. So right next to him, Jaden Roberts, right guard, the number 4 ranked guard in this draft class, projected to go early second, mid second round in this draft. If he continues to trend upward like he did last year, and like you said, Cam Dewberry, the transfer from Texas A&M, a lot of people high on him coming out of high school, ready to see him pop. Has been very quiet being at Texas A&M. Has made the transfer to Alabama. I've been high on him, but we cannot forget about Geno Vandermark, the transfer from Michigan State last year, who has a lot of experience. And Coach Cap, under Coach Cap, was his actual position coach that recruited him in college. He started to pop towards the end of last season at the left guard position and has been getting a lot of reps with the first team early in fall camp. So, 6-man rotation, what Kalen DeBoer likes to utilize in all of his offense. A solid 6-7-man rotation in the offensive line, whether they're hurt or beat up, whatever. If he can get 7 offensive linemen, quality linemen that can impact the game, he's going to utilize them. So we're in a good position. Rock Montgomery is right there. Jackson Lloyd, a true freshman at left tackle behind Caden Proctor. He's been showing, signs of just, veteran type skill sets and leadership. And then a young guy, also Michael Carroll. It doesn't matter where you put him on the offensive line. He's a dog. He's going to get you those pancake blocks. So, like you said, best offensive line when you look at the first 5. But this is a 6-man, 7-man rotation that you're going to see where it's going to be hard to dial it up against a fresh group of guys with these skill sets.
Man, I'm looking at the the twos. The twos could be a freaking
A starting lineup, right?
starting lineup for about 80%, 90% of college football, dog.
Right, right. Because you look at the names and you forget how highly rated they were coming out of high school because they're at Alabama.
Yeah.
That's the only reason.
You
So
mentioned you mentioned the wide receivers. I've obviously Ryan Williams took college football by storm as a freshman. Broke out to the scene and deservingly so. He's a stud. A quiet season, I would say, from the Nationals landscape on Bernard. I'm looking, at his production. He was really highly productive. 50 catches, 794 yards, 2 touchdowns. You didn't hear, a lot of the question marks with Bama was like they didn't really have a true wide receiver too, but obviously the production shows elsewhere. And then they also hit the portal and they bring in Horton from Miami. So talk about the wide receiver 2 and the wide receiver 3 and maybe anyone else we should be on the eyes for.
I'm a wide receiver guy myself. As a wide receiver coach, I played the position. I developed the position with my personal development training. I'm very, very, very keen on this position, and I'm very connected with this group of guys on a personal level.
Mhm.
Latier Brooks being one of the true freshmen coming on campus and just really making a scene. Um, Jalen Waddle like impact year one, and I'm not hyping him up. This is a young man. a little bit bigger than what Jalen Waddle was, a lot more explosive in the vertical passing game that I believe. But also he can get those short passes and really take it to the house. Very physical in his running style. He's not scared of contact. That's the name I want you to look out for. But some consistents that I think aren't going to get the hype, but will be the reason why guys like Ryan Williams and Isaiah Horton are able to thrive are guys like Cole Adams, Rico Scott. These are guys that are going to be rotating with, Rico Scott is going to be part of that first group. You're going to sometimes see him at the Z. You're going to sometimes see him at the X. But his catch radius is probably the best out of that wide receiver group. And you're talking about better than Ryan Williams. He has the better hands than those two. But the catch radius, him, Jalen Hill, and Isaiah Horton, probably some of the best you're going to get in college football, especially in the SEC. The SEC is flooded with talented wide receivers right now. But I think Alabama has 3 or 4 of the top 10 guys on their roster right now in their rotation.
Mhm.
And that's in Ryan Williams, Isaiah Horton, Jeremy Bernard. I think he's a top 5 guy in this class as far as wide receivers eligible for the draft. And Rico Scott, another redshirt freshman guy that's ready. Him and Ryan Williams and their continuity, how they play together on the field, is going to be something amazing to watch. And a dark horse, man, a guy that's made transition from the defensive side, now wide receiver, Jalen Mbakwe. Played quarterback in high school the last 2 years. Signed to Alabama as a defensive back. Made a lot of plays as a corner last year. Got switched to wide receiver during the portal period. This bowl season played at wide receiver against Michigan. Actually had a few plays where if he gets the ball on time, he has an opportunity to showcase his athleticism and one of the faster players on Alabama's roster. So going to be interested to see how he's developed. He's actually been moving up on the depth chart in practice this early in this fall camp. Been making a lot of big plays in 7-on-7. Getting pads on this week. Going to see how he continues to progress.
Oh man, I'm looking at the coaching staff right now, and the strength and conditioning coach. Whenever the board came, did he bring in a new strength and conditioning coach, or did he keep?
He
Did he?
kept the same guy, David Ballou.
Man, that's one thing that always stood out with the saving error, and then I don't think it took a drop off with the board. You look at the measurables of everybody on this roster, and you know, screen like they doing so good in the weight room. Another program that's been doing kind of good in the weight room is like South Carolina, but
Yes,
like just I'm looking at just these players, man, like looking NFL ready, and that's always been a strength of Alabama. I say this to a lot of people that the games are already won before they even snapped with Alabama, most of them. Not a lot of people can't compete physicality with Alabama, and
right.
credit to that strength and conditioning coach for sure. And I'm glad the board kept him on staff.
A
We
hundred
could jump.
percent, man. You look across the SEC though, man. It's becoming a thing to make sure you go and get that guy in that strength conditioning room because
Mhm.
truth be told, those are the guys that spending the most time with the players. So they're the ones kind of giving the notes to coach. Hey, he got 2% better. Um, yesterday from yesterday to today, that change of position, that change of being able to generate strength at one point and translate it to another point in different areas is going to be huge. It's going to be huge in the evaluation. So, and that's why you see the depth chart, the way that the depth chart ended up last year for Alabama, the way it shaped out, because you had a lot of guys that were injured through that saving transition that just couldn't come with it when it came time for game time because the pace of the game was so fast and you can't slow it down with the play calls because the guy's tired. You got to get guys that's learning, and that's why you saw the development. Kalen DeBoer, look at his staffs and the teams that he's coached. Development has been key in their success through every stop. He's taken 2-10 teams and turn them around and win 10-2. You know, it's not because he's such a great play caller. It's the system that he sets up and the development factor. That's all about getting the right strength and conditioning guys behind you to develop them for the scheme and the system that you want to be able to implement. So I think Alabama's in a great position, man, in year 2. And like you said, man, and unbiasedly, I'm saying this. This is a dangerous team. This is a dangerous team that can start off slow and be just as dominant as they were last year, and that is not a good sign for the rest of college football. If they're starting off slow and they're winning games 1-6 the way they were last year, that's not a good sign for the rest of college football because it's going to click like it did last year. And this year, if it clicks earlier, you got to think page one is done at week 3. We were stuck on page 1 for the first 8 weeks of college football last year just because of the transition. So I'm excited. I'm excited.
Oh, I'm really excited too. Like, man, if y'all just get almost average QB play, it's like it's almost a lock. That's how talented everything is, everywhere else.
Mm,
But I mean, we could jump into the defense next. Defense is starting to get healthy again. Checking out the depth chart. The linebacker suffered an ACL injury, maybe.
Deontay Lawson.
Monte Lawson, and then Keon Sabb. What was it? A broken foot, or I forgot what.
I think it was a foot fracture or something like that. They kept him out last year.
Starting to get healthy again is really scary. Alabama got one of my best secondaries in the country. Looking at the box, one person that's really been standing out in fall camp is Yanze Pierre.
Mm-hmm.
Man, dude, that dude got some twitch. that,
Listen,
that dude got some
uh,
twitch, bro.
he and Justin Hill are going to be the perfect assets to follow up Quay Russaw, somebody who I believe has kind of been forced into the spotlight or forced into a leadership role or impact player role, meaning playing way too many snaps.
Mhm.
You can have all the talent in the world, but the more snaps you're out there, the more opportunities you have to be exposed, right? And I think Quay Russaw is going to benefit from having guys like Yanzi Pierre, Justin Hill behind him. Also, Ja Latham, who played more of the bandit position last season, but being switched over to the Wolf to be on that edge rushing asset in a bigger frame. This defensive side of the ball is just studded with talent. And this year, I think more so than the edge rushers, something that's kind of been like the highlight of Alabama defense is dating back to like Will Anderson, Dallas Turner,
Mhm.
type of era, those years. I think now you're going to see the defensive front really get their opportunity to shine with the aggressive play calling nature of Kane Womack, the stunts that he likes to see. You have athletic assets in James Smith, Jordan Renard, Edric Hill, Stephen Boomer. Tim Keenan is back, a very, very veteran presence that when he doesn't have to play 40 plus snaps a game, when he's able to stay fresh between 25 and 33 snaps, he's a game changer type, and you have the depth to do that this year. So, a lot of those names that I just mentioned, man, you can expect them to be there. Deontay Lawson being injured is huge, but you go and get Nakai Hill Green from Colorado. I think he was number 2 at Colorado in tackles. A guy that can play in space very well. This is a read and react type defense in this type of scheme that Kane Womack runs. Very aggressive on the blitzing, but once again, his linebackers in space keying off of reads, diagnosing phase 1 route concepts, and this is a guy that's used to that. So seeing him and the speed that he brings with Justin Jefferson, QB Reese is another redshirt freshman that I believe is going to have a year. Um, so much talent on the defensive side, man. You talk about the secondary. I'm tired of talking about the secondary. I think this secondary is going to be the best in college football this year. Demani Jackson, Cam Calhoun, Xavier Brown. You got 3 lockdown corners. You don't know where to put him. Do you want to play him boundary this snap? Do you want to let him get nickel corner and lock down your shifty slot receiver? Do you want to bring in the true freshman 6'5", 6'4.5", 6'5", Dijon Lee, who's literally a lockdown corner? Put him on the island. There's not many receivers that are going to be able to win that matchup, and he's a true freshman. But then you got Chuck McDonald, who just checked in on campus and turning heads in the first 2 or 3 days of practice with just his ability to roll over information. But then you got more experience sitting behind him. Deshaun Jones is a transfer from last year. He chose to come back. Cam Howard is a safety out there in that room. Zay Mincy plays corner and safety. Like so many names there. Bray Hubbard's back. Like,
Mhm.
and then on top of that, you got the guy Keon Sabb who just took Alabama Nation by storm with the first 2 or 3 games. Just that Robert technique, he's so shifty and deceptive in his recovery speed. A healthy him with what's coming back, Drake Kirkpatrick, a lot of these guys. This is going to be a fun group to watch in the secondary, and we might see no fly zone type year from this secondary.
Oh, I would assume that too. Uh, Keon Sabb, ball hawk, just playmaker. Man, Dion Lee, those clips I've been seeing from fall camp. That dude's special. Um,
I personally talked to the young man. I personally talked to him. He was one of the when they signed on early signing day, they all came on my network, to celebrate. And Chuck McDonald didn't get to go to spring camp, but his skill set just matches what Kalen DeBoer, not Kalen DeBoer, but Kane Womack and what Coach Mo want in the boundary, playing that corner position. And he's put on that weight. Packed on some lean muscles, some mass, and he looks like a day one corner. But Demani Jackson, I believe he's going to solidify himself as the top corner in this draft class with this scheme if they throw it his way. I don't think a lot of people are going to throw it his way, but when they do, he's going to capitalize like he did last year. Xavier Brown had the crazy true freshman year. Jalen Mbakwe going to wide receiver really opens the door for that guy, that Calhoun transfer from Utah. He showed out at Utah last year with his limited reps. I think they were decisive in going to get him his connection with Coach Mo. There's no reason you expect him to come in and play sparingly. He's going to be an impact player from week one in. So I'm excited. I'm excited about this whole group. And I think we're probably in the best position we've been in the secondary than we've been in a long time.
Gotta look at the schedule. We could jump into that next. This is, man, in my opinion, I think this is a pretty easy schedule. I don't know how this
Ooh,
schedule.
we got blessed this year. I can't lie. For anybody that's talking trash about schedules in front of the Bama fan base, we might want to be quiet this year because we definitely
This is an
got
easy
the
ask.
better.
It's
Yes.
an easy schedule. So I mean, Florida State, I think probably blow them out. Wisconsin probably blow them out. Really, I think you could point to maybe Georgia on the road. Probably that's going to be a battle. You're going to get their best game, and then probably after that, I think the next toughest game is probably going to be LSU at home.
I'm gonna give you my rundown. This is what my projection was. I said Florida State would be the game where we coming and we kind of see what the team is, not to a point where they test us to where we feel like we're going to lose, but I feel like Florida State has enough with what they're bringing, enough hype around it to really believe for at least 18 minutes of the game. And that will cause some things to be shown on both sides of the ball for Alabama. How we respond is going to be a huge thing in that game. If we go in that game and we win that game 48 to 7, 48-13, and it's one of those 48-13s to where you didn't have to grind it out for 3 or 4 drives to score. You're scoring on 7 of 9 possessions. You're getting points on the board for 8 out of 9 possessions that you get offensively. If it's that pace of a game, I think that tells you how confident this team is going forward. I think we go into Athens and we blow Georgia out. I really do. I think Georgia is a step behind with some of the veteran teams in the conference, and Alabama would be the first team that's going to have an opportunity to expose it. Honestly, I believe Auburn's going to have an opportunity to expose what Georgia is lacking as far as depth and experience early in the season. Florida is another team that's going to be able to do it. Georgia, to me, is probably the most overhyped team only because of the lack of experience. They're not having that luxury of experience and continuity return. The quarterback is not going to be one that's going to wow you with his skill sets. They're not going. I don't think that Mike Bobo's mind is definitely a struggle. So I think we go in and blow Georgia out and really open everybody's eyes to what they can do against Georgia, which sets them up for an underachieving season. You all coming into LSU coming into T-Town, it's the wrong year for y'all. It's the wrong year. I'm sorry. It's the wrong year. I think Doug Nussmeier had the hype around him. I think he's well deserving, and I think he's one of your top quarterbacks in this class. But the skill sets that's available on defense in that front, by that time, if you all haven't figured out the situation at left tackle and left guard, it's going to be a bad day against Alabama. Kane Womack is going to key on that, and we know how aggressive he loves to get with his blitz packages. So I think the Norman game, Oklahoma coming, is going to be a test with their offense. I think they'll be just hitting a stride. And then us going to Jordan Hare, I'm always scared going to Jordan Hare for the Iron Bowl. And I'm a true Bama fan my whole life. I'm not scared to admit it. I don't think you're a real Bama fan if you don't respect what happens in Jordan Hare from a voodoo standpoint. You know, I mean, just what goes on in Jordan Hare when they have a decent team, and I believe they do have a decent team if they figure out the quarterback position and find a defense in the secondary. But um, those games, I would say I'm more worried about. No, Oklahoma coming to T-Town with that new offense, Auburn at Auburn, and early in the season, like I said, against Florida State, can they cause some concerns or can they wake us up early? Is my question there.
Yeah, Florida State just I don't know.
You
I
got to
think
look at the roster, man. They got a lot of talent, a lot of names there. Even on the defensive side, guys that you thought were going to play last year did it. They came back. They came back, and it's for a reason. They had the culture shock there, with the staff. I think Norvell has an idea of what he wants from his players and coaching staff, and they're starting to get some guys that kind of believe. And the NIL looks good right now for Florida State for this group that they brought in. So maybe they can get some production out of them like Ohio State did with their NIL and portal moves that they made last year.
and Auburn's talent. Auburn on paper, you know Auburn got some really good talent. You know, it's going to come down to
100%.
QB. It's going to come down to QB play. So if you know if they could get that QB play rocking, that's going to be a tough little outing probably at the end of the year in the rivalry game. I agree with you on that. Someone
100%, man.
we got a comment right here.
As my brother Rico said, Jordan hair is miraculous. It is. It is. We know that. It's cursed in my eyes.
It's a tough place to play. I've been
Oh,
there. You know, dude, they're freaking their video screen, man. They bump that music, and
yes.
it gets the crowd louder. If they didn't have that video screen, that big screen, they wouldn't be that loud. I don't think the stadium.
So my old lady, she's an Auburn fan, man.
Oh
And
wow.
I'm yeah, it's crazy. I've been having to admit that we've been together 3 months now, so it's been hard having to admit that. I actually left the girl alone in college because she was an Auburn fan. I found out she was an Auburn fan. We were at a club, and very pretty, very respectable young lady, and she said those two words, the WE stuff, and I immediately dismissed her. I think we dismissed each other. Honestly, I won't even say it like that. We dismissed. It was that serious. It was that serious. The 18 years old, not a care in the world. Definitely was about to deal with that crap. Definitely was about to.
It's tough, man.
She should have chose better. She should have chose better. I was not going to deal with that. But yeah, man, you're absolutely right. Auburn has a talented roster, man, and Coach Hugh Freeze's offensive guru mindset when he has a quarterback that he could do some funny things with. Jackson Arnold is an athletic quarterback. I'm not going to hate on him like a lot of Oklahoma fans. I know he didn't show up for y'all, but he didn't have the assets around him either. You know, he didn't have an offensive play caller that was playing to his skill set. Hugh Freeze will design an offense to make him a good look like a Heisman quarterback.
Now,
And
what about Oklahoma's revamped offense? You know, with Mateer, the offensive coordinator.
ooh, I think they will be dangerous if it clicks. It has to click. It can't be a sputter type thing. It will have to click from week one to where they can build off of it. And it's going to be really on that offensive line. I don't. I think they got enough wide receiver assets. I think they got a nice 3-man running game that they're going to be able to kind of spread the wealth about. Mateer is a solid guy. I want to see him throw against you know SEC caliber DBs week in and week out, see how that looks. But he looked good on paper. He looked good on film last year. Being at Wazoo, that offense was definitely fun to watch, and it was consistent. It wasn't like it was a fluke. Week in and week out, it was consistent. So I can't wait to see what it does. See how the run game complements his ability to get that ball out in space.
Man, I love chopping ball with you tonight, man. We hit 37 minutes. I don't want to go too long with this one.
So,
I appreciate you joining the show. Let everybody know where they can find you and everything.
all right, man. Well, y'all know at Coach Smook on all platforms, we really are dialing in on the content surrounding Bama football, but we talk SEC ball on our call-in show. So if you all are looking for an interactive call-in show, unbiased, raw takes, jump on the Coach Smook Network. But if you're a Bama fan or if you're just interested in what's happening at Bama, jump up on follow us at Alabama Voice of College Football here on YouTube. That's where you'll see myself, Jackson Johnson, and my guy Jeffrey will be the primary host on that channel, bringing you all the informative Alabama coverage. We are credentialed, so we'll be doing a lot of team reporting, post practice reporting. We get the official videos and clips from practice every day, so you all will have access to that. Tap in over there, support your boy Coach Smook on all platforms at Coach Smook, and I appreciate you having me on, man. It's been a vibe. I seen the post on Twitter. I think we interacted on Twitter first, and I like your rankings. It made sense. I like the way the crew came together and made those rankings. And I started looking at some of your other content you've been doing on the page. Can't wait to do more collabs, man. I actually want to have you on the kickoff shows on Saturdays to give us your takes and for your picks, your
Okay.
picks for the day.
That's
So
always,
we'll
that's
definitely dial in, bro. We definitely gonna dial in and do what we do, man.
That's absolutely, man. Love having you. On that note, we're gonna sign off.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.